Hey, good afternoon. Excuse me, good evening. It's evening. Sometimes all depends on where I am in the world. Thank you for coming to my live, and I hope everybody had an excellent day. Um, so again, I'm still trying out this new thing, and I am excited about learning all that there is to learn about this live stream. And so I hope everybody's having a great day. But you go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell and share this video. Share it on your page. It is worth sharing. I really try to give content and give substance and something that is going to really help people and share with people some of the things that I've experienced in my life. And hopefully, or in high hopes, that you won't repeat those things, or that it will give you an eye for it, or it will give you an ear for it. It'll help you to identify something that's perhaps you've not identified before. So I'm gonna give a few people time to come in the room. I hope I did this right. I am live. Go to Battles and Journeys and hit that subscribe bell and hit that notification bell, and then hit all so that you can get um, all of my lives that I'm going to be doing in the near future. You can go ahead and comment. I am live here. Where am I today? I am in New York City. Um, I am in New York. I love New York. New York is probably um, one of the better places that I enjoy in the United States of America. So go ahead. You can go ahead and comment. Let me know you're there. I know people are on. Some of you can't comment. You know, for whatever reasons you have, and I appreciate you for coming. Share this video. Go ahead and hit share and like and subscribe. If you're not subscribed to this channel, go ahead and subscribe. I need to know that you can hear me. If you're in the room, if someone is in the room, go ahead and tell me how the sound is, and then I can start moving forward. I decided to do this. I should have put this out 2 days ago. I knew I would do it. I just did not know. Um, I just did not know the time, and I had to land and get settled into my hotel room. So again, this is Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to everyone. I just want to start talking about um, uh, just some of the things that we've experienced in life, and some of the things that we've experienced in church. Some of you know, most of you know, or people that know me and you're on here, you know that really I grew up in the church, and I was very, hey, Yolanda, I was very active in the church. Thank you for chiming in. Can you hear me well, Yolanda? Are you able to hear me? I just want to make sure people can hear me. And so I was very active, very much so, in the church, and has been most of my life, the majority of my life. And so I have experience that can somewhat help you, and to help you identify some of the corruption and some of the things to run away from and stay away from, to keep you from going through some of the things that I've experienced in life. And so it is so vitally important that we share our experiences and share our stories. There are so many stories. Thank you. Thank you, Yolanda. There's so many people have stories to tell. And there are those who would like to suppress the voices of those who have stories to tell, in fear of maybe other victims coming out, or in fear of maybe abused, those have been abused by the church or by individuals. It's just in fear that they would hear someone else's story and then they would come out about their story. And they do not want for other people to come out about what they've done. One of the things that I've found out is there are people don't like to talk about it, and they don't want you to talk about it, excuse me, because they have some hidden agendas and have some skeletons in their closets as well, and they don't want it to get out. And it's just as simple and plain as that. They do not want it to get out whatsoever. And It would be different if you would go and find the people, your victims, and apologize to them. But most people don't apologize. They're not going to apologize because being apologetic or apologizing would suggest that they've admitted to something that they've done, right? So, give you a little backdrop of my story, of my history, and I'm going to be showing you a video today. And I want you to see what it is that has entrapped a lot of leaders. I'm a leader. I've always been a leader, and I feel like I was born a leader, and I would never do some of the things that has been done to me. And I'm so happy that I didn't. I'm not that guy that um, allow what happened to him affect him to the point that he did to others what happened to him. Right. So go ahead, and I know there are a few of you on. I did not give heads up that I was coming on just about 30 minutes ago, less than 30 minutes ago. But I just want to share some things. And let me just say this. Let me say this disclaimer. I love our church. I love the institution of the church. I do not like the corruption of the system of the church. I'm not a church basher. Now, I am one, I will speak my mind and I will tell my experiences. Hey, Mary, Danella, I will share my experiences. I don't hate the church. I don't hate God. Sometimes there are times that people would try to make you believe that God or your creator is the same entity as the church, and it is not. Church is a place that we're to come to be healed. We come to be fed. We come to for our lives to be enhanced. Hey, Shakina, our lives to be enhanced. We come to church so that we can really be empowered. We come to church because we do want to be encouraged, and sometimes we encourage others. For me, the church is a place of healing, not a place of strapping and scraping and scrapping and fighting and being divisive. To me, church is a place that you should come and learn how to live life, not just in the church. And that is where the imbalance is. That's where the imbalance has been found, because in my day they were so busy trying to get to heaven, so they say, but they didn't do things here on the earth, and they did not teach you how to live on the earth in a very productive way. I believe we should be fruitful, multiply, replenish, and have dominion. But I believe we should have dominion over the earth and not dominion over each other. That's where the problem comes. When you try to dominate each other, we're supposed to have dominion over the earth and not try to manipulate and control and dominate each other. So I just want to put that out there. To be honest with you, the more I pulled away from the institution, the closer I became with my creator. It cut out all the junk and the garbage and the expectations of performing. And that's what I find in church today. It's a bunch of performance. There are those who want to jump back to church. They're tired of this pandemic. They want to get in the church, but it's not because that they could learn more. It's because they missed that place of performance. They want to get up and be seen. They want to get up and gyrate before the people and show their gifts and show their talents. And they're not really there for worship or there to encourage or to empower or to enlighten. If I walk out of your church and have not received any of those things, then I basically wasted my time. Well, people say, well, you should come to church for other reasons. No, he said, we come to be strengthened. We come to get strength from each other. And if I don't get that, if that's not there, then why am I there? Well, I believe I'm there because you need my money and you want my money. And it's okay because it takes money to run things. But I refuse to sow into something that doesn't sow back to me. If you go to a place, job, home, church, and all you do is get beat up, Why are you there? I mean, you're going to get abused. You're going to tell the leader can tell you what they want you to know, and there's no even exchange. There's no reciprocation. The relationship is not reciprocated. When you just pull from an individual or a group of people, and you never pour back into them, or you become viperous, snakish, schematic. Then it's out of balance. And also, if you have a community, if your church is sitting in a community and it has not affected your community, and you've been there since Moses was rescued from the river, you mean to tell me nobody in that neighborhood comes to your church? Oh, come on. So I say this to say, I said that to say this. You got to do better. If you want people to come to your church, you have to offer them something. And I've said it before. Many of you get up in your pulpits and you say, "Oh, well, y'all go to Walmart. Why can't you come to church?" Well, I'm gonna tell you this: Walmart has something to offer the people. What are you offering the people? Or are you getting up there, you just bashing people? I want to show you something. Many of you. So let me just kind of give you the backdrop of why doing some of the things that I'm doing, because I, like many of you and others that will listen to this, I was sodomized in the church, right? By at that time, he's famous now, but he was, I guess, trying to become famous then, but Bishop George Bloomer, right? At that time, he was Shirley Caesar's associate pastor. And when he came to Grace and Falls, no Grace and Falls. What's the name of this church? Jesus. Because the name does not match what goes on. Oh, so when he came to that church, right there on 11th Street, right there in Palaca, Florida, this is when all of this took place. And so the pastor knew about it. We told her, me and Michael Tripp. Now, let me help y'all. I do reach out to Michael's mother. Hello. And we do chat here and there. And I told her that I won't let his voice die. And he didn't get a chance to do what I did. He didn't live through his situation. And sometimes you watch people their life spin out of control, and we don't know what caused that out of control spin. And you just see that chapter of their life, and you have to know that there's something deeper. Hey, Charles, you have to know that there's something deeper that has taken place. We have to stop judging people for where they are, because there's something in their history, in their background, that has caused them to be where they are today. So you don't know their story, and we should keep our mouths off of them. And so I do chat or communicate with Michael's mom here and there. And I did tell her that, I won't let his voice die, and that I would keep this thing alive, and I would speak. Well, me and Michael was one of the two boys that was in False and Grace, Grace and False. It was the name of the church was Grace and Truth Church. No, it was Grace and Truth Deliverance Church, or Grace and Truth Deliverance Ministry. Again, it doesn't match anything that happens, because there's no grace there, and there's not much truth there. I don't know. I can't really speak of much truth even to this day. But anyway, so he did what he did, and he sodomized us, and not together, but separately. It happened in two different cases. The pastor actually sent us to the hotel to stay with the man so that we can get to the airport or what have you. And of course, she denied that when I brought that up. And I said, "You were the one that told us to go." And she said, "No, I didn't." But you did. And the record is written on high. And so, anyways, after the violation happened with George Bloomer, and separately from Michael, myself, and Michael Tripp, then this pastor, at the time, she was Dr. Cora Springleton Fales, and she brought him back to the church. She brought him back to the church. And there are those of you that was at that church, and you're on here now, and you know that to be true. She brought him back to the church, and she had him back to minister. And at this time, I did not go to church, which was very unusual because I was there. You could actually tell time by me. I was there every time the doors opened. I was there. And so, but this particular Sunday, I did not come. They had him in the church on that Sunday morning, but Sunday night, they were going to have him back under the tent because it was a tent meeting. They've had, people to come in. She's done tents before. We've had, I'm going to start naming these people, and then you just run with it, however you want to run. Had Gail Patterson, Annette McGuire. She's Keenan now, who is a phenomenal preacher. She had Ion Locke. She came once. They tried to get her back, but she wouldn't come back. Matter of fact, she wouldn't even answer the phone. Dr. Ion Locke, which is my all-time favorite preacher. There was, of course, George Bloomer. She had, who else came? Oh, then that time it was Renithwa. I don't know if she's still alive, but she was there with the music. They had Anthony DeHill. We'll talk about that later. If he was there for the music as well. Well, she would have him to come in, but this particular time she had those people to come in to preach. Gail Patterson was a preacher of all preachers, and so. Anyways, she brought this man back to the church after knowing what George Bloomer did and how she knew because we told her. Michael told her. I told her what happened. And then they got George Bloomer on the phone along with Michael Tripp, Shirley Caesar. Mind you, Bloomer at that time was Shirley Caesar's associate pastor. And her daughter, Cora Baker, was there. They would, and herself and Cora Fells was on the phone. And they asked him, look right at me. Look right at me. You're looking to the left. Look right at me. They asked him, why did he do what he did? Well, let me just say this. Michael said he beat him with a belt. Now, that didn't happen to me. Michael had two separate situations. Michael said he beat him with a belt and forced him to have sex with him. Well, when they all got on the phone, they asked George Bloomer, why did he beat them? Now, it should have just been him because it wasn't me that was beaten. And he said, well, it's called, I was gay bashing. Okay. He said it was he that was called gay bashing. So you come in as a visiting preacher and then you beat the members of. Help me make this. Help me. I want to make sense out of this. You just say he didn't do anything else. He did. Don't get it twisted. He did. Just say, bless you, Sharon. Just say he did beat. That's all he did. Physically abuses. All right. He admitted to beating Michael, but he said it was called gay bashing. Now help me. Let's make sense of this. But that pastor turned around and still invited him back. Cora Bell invited this man. I know she don't like that. Apostle. Yeah, they don't like us. That's what she did. Yeah, they don't like us. They don't like what we stand for. Well, you really don't stand for anything. You stand for anything that supports you and your agenda. I'm waiting for their arrival. And so then invites him back. Hey, Ebony, I miss you. Then invite him back after the violations. So she invited him back. I didn't come to church this Sunday. It was a slap in my face. We were really disregarded. She invited Cora Fells right there on that church right there. They used to have the rainbow, and it should have stayed up there because now we know what rainbows mean. Because most of the people she got there was part of the rainbow family, with the exception of, well, let me just say this. I know for a fact Dr. Anya Hall was a nice person. She met She was about her business. Shailene Gordon, great person. And back in the old church, what you see, I posted, Beverly Crawford came there once, came there and preached. They're all legit people. Let me just say that, legit people. Well, I won't even talk about why she kind of turned against Beverly, but yes, I will. I'm gonna talk about it. She turned against Beverly because when Beverly Crawford was on Bobby Jones, she said it to me. When Beverly Crawford on Bobby Jones asked her, how did she get her start? And she said that Beverly never mentioned her name. And she was upset. And she was the one that gave her her first preaching engagement. Well, we know that Pastor Beverly Crawford, she was Evangelist Beverly Crawford then, her father, Bishop Camp. How do you take all of that from her when it was her father that gave her all that exposure? Oh, this is wearing me out. I know some of y'all said, you might have a problem with my lives being long, but I got to tell you about it, right? So anyways, she invited him back to the church. I did not come that Sunday. Now, my mother was not a controlling mother. She knew she never said anything to me, but I knew she knew something was wrong. Listen, I knew she knew something was wrong because I didn't go to church that Sunday. And I'm grateful to have had a mother so loving. She wasn't controlling. My brothers and my eldest siblings may have a different experience, but my mother had me at such an old age, more senior age. I think my mom was about 36, 37 when she had me. So by that time, she was tired. I didn't even get the whippings that they got. And then she used me to help discipline them. My brothers can tell it, and I'm happy about it. And so anyways, my mother was sitting on the porch, and I didn't go to church that Sunday. Out of all the years I've been going to church, I have never missed a Sunday. I did not go to church that Sunday. And all of a sudden, my mother said, somebody's I see Elder Baker and Elder Brother Baker and Elder Hart out here. They want to see you. I said, okay. I came out the door, and Elder Hart, I met them out the gate because, they didn't want people to, they didn't want to discuss anything in front of my mother. But anyways, I met them out the gate. Elder Hart sitting up there with his toothpick in his mouth. We loved him. He was who he was. And they both said, well, Pastor want to know why you didn't come to church. And I said, you really think I'm coming to church after what that man did to us, or did to me? Why would I show up to hear him preach? I mean, you would bring him back in after knowing what he did and then expect for me to show up? Man, please. So after that, I went back in my mother's house, and then she sent our friend Trina Davis to come pick me up. She had the little brown car. She said, well, Pastor, I want you to come around there. She want to talk to you. I get there, and Brother Bales, I'm only doing this because this is how she talked. Brother Bales, why you didn't come to church? I said, just picture this. Say a husband and a wife. This is exactly what I said. Say a husband and wife sitting in your church, and they're members of your church, and you bring a preacher in, and that preacher raped the wife. Are you expecting for the husband to come back and listen to the preacher? Like, what sense does that make? And she looked at me. I tell you what, he's right there at the hotel. This time he was at the Holiday Inn. We'll go confront him. Let's go. We can go confront him. And she saw I didn't back down. I said, okay, let's do it. Then she sat back and said, no, let's not do it that way. She said, I tell you what, you don't have to come to church tonight because we're going to be under the tent. I said, well, I'm not coming. She said, and I will, God be my secret judge. She said, and I will, she said, you don't have to come to church tonight, but I will send Brother James to come get you. That's when he had that little cream of that brown looking cream car, whatever it was, long. She said, when we almost out of church, I'll send Brother James to come get you. But now don't come in the tent. Wait till you see everybody leave out of the tent. She said, I'm going to keep them in there. They had the little platform built with a pulpit and all of that. She said, I'm going to keep them in there. And when you see the last person leave out, then you come and approach him and say, I need to talk to you in front of my pastor. That's what she said to me. I was game. I was game to go confront him at the hotel with her. This is supposed to be my leader. Well, back up 5 miles back. The slap in the face was when she told me out of her mouth, well, you know, Brother Bales, I only brought Bishop Bloomer back because he's going to help me get some of the other big time preachers that I've been wanting to come to my church. That was a slap in my face. I sunk. My heart felt like it was going to stop beating. After all of this, you telling me the reason why you brought this man that has violated two boys in your church, and I heard there's a third one somewhere while he was there. And because somebody's mother said, I heard about some parent right there in Palaca said, he's telling the truth because he tried my son. Well, that was a disregard. You telling me I don't give a what he did to y'all. Bringing him here, my connection with him is going to help me. I only brought him back because he was going to help me get some of the other big time preachers that I've been wanting to come to my church. And I thought about it. I said, you know what? If it was her grandchild, she would have cut that off. That man would have never been back there. But then I found out there's an answer. I found out that they didn't do nothing about her grandson that was molested by his uncle on his daddy's side. Just wonder what was the payment for that. I wonder, he told me himself he was molested by his uncle on his father's side. I wonder what was the payment of that. So now there's a pattern that you cover up molestation and violations. You cover it up. For what reason? There's a history of covering up. And this is what the church has been good at, covering up. Oh, I don't think we should talk about it. I don't think he should talk about the church. I think he should just leave it alone. No, we've been covering it up far too long. And this is why it has been continuously happening. People are suffering. Voices are silent. Men, women, boys, girls are suffering because you shut them down and told them to not talk about it. It's going to make the church look bad. Well, the church already looked bad. Look at all the stories that these boys have died of AIDS because of the bishops. Or the bishops have died of AIDS and left the boys back here suffering with a disease they can't get rid of. All because you refuse to talk about it, and you refuse. Oh, let's not talk about it. Let's just brush over it. Let's just smooth over it. And you know, if we don't talk about it, then we feel like it didn't happen. You know how many people in homes have been molested and violated, in churches have been molested and violated by the preacher, the pastor. The pastor said, "This is my armor bearer." Yeah, what armor is he bearing? He covered him in the daytime and you cover him at night. And the reason you can't discipline them because you can't dick and discipline at the same time. Oh, praise God. So anyways, let's move on with the story because some of you don't know the story. There's a whole lot more to it, right? And so I was down for it. Let's go ahead. Hey, Rena, let's go ahead. Let's go. I said, okay, because when she saw that I wasn't backing down from the hotel, let's go to the hotel. I tell you what, let's go to the hotel. See, all that didn't make me fearful because I had my truth with me. I tell you what, let's go to the hotel and let's confront him now. I said, let's do it. No, let's not do that, Brother Bass. Let's just do it this way. So, anyways, she sent Brother James at me. I got in the back, I got in that car, sat in the back seat. And we drove up to that church, that tent. It was a tent there, right there on the corner, right across from Little Harris, right there. And I sat there and I sat there and I sat there. And when I turned around and saw that the people were gone, in my mind, I said, finally, I get to confront him in front of my pastor, the one that's supposed to protect me. Well, the first sign that she didn't protect me was you brought him back. So now y'all ain't talking about that. Y'all ain't talking about that. Because see, Kathy around here saying, well, my mama been good to Brother Bales. Why is he doing my mama like that? So you mean to tell me being good to me is allowing a preacher to come in and violate me as a young boy and then bring him back and not say anything? You covered up a sex crime, which is punishable by law. Okay. So I sat there and I was thinking, finally, I get a chance to confront this, my violator. And many people don't get a chance to do that. But yet she preaches holiness and righteousness. It's only when let me tell you something. I found out throughout life, people don't care about nothing as long as it's benefiting them. When that lady told me she only brought him back because he was going to bring some other big time, help her bring some other big time preachers in the church, to her church that she's been wanting, that spoke volumes to me. And that said, this is what she's all about. She's about herself. I sat there in that car and I saw that last person and I was thinking, yes. And I saw Sister Dorothy Montgomery walk into the car. She had on all white. Absolutely, Randall. She had on all white. I love Sister Dorothy. And I know people say, oh, they done told Chicago, oh, he talking about your mama. No, I mentioned it. See, you're part of the story. I got to talk about you. And I'm not talking about Sister Dorothy in a bad way. I love her. But I am saying she was the messenger because Cora Bell told her to come to the car. She came to the car. And when she said to me, Pastor say, don't do it, I was crushed. Crushed. I was crushed. I was crushed. Because you gave me a chance to confront him. You pretended you was giving me a chance to confront him at the hotel while he was there. Then you pretend had this whole setup. I have somebody come pick you up and you sit in the car. When you see the last person leave, then you come in and you tell him, this is what she told me to tell him. I got something I need to talk with you about in front of my pastor. That's what she told me to say. She said, and then confront him. Tell me right in front. Talk to him right in front of me. She told me what to say. Walk in there, because she didn't want nobody else involved. And she still don't want this story told. She said, walk in there and say, hey, I need to talk to you in front of my pastor. She said, I'm going to keep him in the pulpit. She planned to do it. She thought about it. It would hurt her because now she won't get the big time preachers that she's been wanting to come to her church because he was connected. He was connected to Shirley Caesar. Strong ankles. Glory to God. Nice iced tea. See, it crushed me. And you see why I feel the way I feel? Not only that, she spent years tearing me down. Back up. And I'm going to talk about that because this is a long story and I'm not going to finish it. Oh, thank you, Sharon. I'm going to tell my story. And when I tell you, I'm doing it uninhibited. There's nothing they could do. But one thing about it is they can't fight the truth, right? I sat there and I dropped my head in the back of that car. She gets in the car. I done lost all chances, right? She gets in that car. We start riding. Well, you know, Brother Bales, you're going to get your chance. You're going to get your opportunity to confront him. Hell, I had an opportunity, but you backed out. Cora Bell, you backed out. But you want people to think that you're about holiness. You're not. You're not. And to this day, she's not. You say it with your mouth, but your action says something different. I was so crushed. And I said to myself, no, I won't. Mm-mm. Yep. Yep. Cover up, cover up, cover up, cover up. And you know how many people have been silenced? And I think for me, the thing that really got me throughout the years, this lady still, she don't know I know, went around trying to tear my name down over a lie. I remember, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna move forward. I remember I was at I sung something. They called me up to sing some Gilbert Evans. I was there. I went there for a funeral and something, and then we had a little small conversation. And I remember going there that Sunday, and he asked somebody to give. He was like, "I want to hear some sing." He said, "Oh, you could sing. Let me hear a chorus and a verse." And I did some hymn or something, whatever. And that man invited. He said, "You know what? You got an anointing on you. Let me invite. Can you come to my church and speak on Sunday?" And I said, "Sure." This is 2011. Now, mind you, 2011. This lady's still trying to bash my name and kill me. I said, "Okay, yeah, I'll come." My mother had gotten sick that year, 2011. I'll never forget it. And the moment I walked off the church, I heard the Spirit say sabotage. It's going to be sabotage. I said, "Okay." Sunday morning, this man calls me up. Oh, man, I forgot. I double booked. Come to find out, Corbin, I told him that I was living with a man. I ain't never lived with no man. They knew I was coming to that church to speak, and she did everything she could. And she has been doing that for 30 years, calling people up. Yeah, lady, you don't know me. Yeah, he's living with a man. What? And so I went on and sent him a nice email because I knew he was lying too. And I told him I knew what happened because the Spirit spoke to me and told me it was going to be sabotaged. Anyway, let me show y'all this foolishness. So I have a thing of her preaching at a funeral, Deacon Campbell's funeral, right? So, oh Lord, I didn't say so much. I didn't intend to go into all of that. But anyways, let me say this. Tell your story. I don't care who try to shut you down. Yes, Sims. Listen, but I have been gone for years. Now, she tried to come back in my good graces. She did. She called me up one year. Now, she wasn't specific about it. She called me. I was in North Carolina. And you know what? I've been thinking, but God laid you on my heart. She said, I'm your spiritual mother. I said, oh, yeah, you must, I'm your spiritual mother. I was traveling big time. So she wanted to reconnect because she knew I was traveling. And, this is the same lady that spoke death over my life and said that they would be bringing me back in a box if I moved away. Yeah, I ain't gonna be bringing you back in a box. See, people don't know about that. And see, the stuff that she did secretly behind my back, I'm doing it publicly now for her. And this is why you don't understand why I'm going after this system, because you don't know what I've endured behind closed doors, the telephone calls and the people that she have really tried to destroy me because I wasn't a part of her church, or she's, just very offended by you leaving her church. Yeah, absolutely, Randall. They cover up under the guise of faith. They teach that faith is unquestioning obedience. This is how the church abuses control. It's how ministers and leaders are able to financially and sexually abuse. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. That's what they do. And so you would never know that all this stuff was going on in this little town, but she has consistently tried to destroy me. Let me give you another example. I know they don't know I know this. When I moved away, it was a mutual person that we all knew. It was Derek Leonard's sister and her husband. I went to Atlanta, and I had been talking to her for months. I said, I just want to make sure that it's okay that I can come. And we did. I called every month, and I saved up my money, and I got out of there. And after getting there, that probably the second or third day, the lady tells me, well, I can't let you stay. What? Yeah, I know. I said, but we talked about this for months. You mean to tell me you've changed your mind in 2 days? Yeah, I know. But they had called the lady trying to stop me from moving, thinking I was going to come back. But God had a ram in the bush. And I know people like to get rammed in a bush. But God had a ram in the bush. It was Fred, sister-in-law, which one ever was, Ann. And I went right on there. And, I didn't like the hood anyways. I felt like it was a place I had to duck to get in the house anyway. It was out there in College Park back in that time. It was really dangerous. But just to show you how all the roadblocks that lady has tried to put in my path. Even after leaving, when they found out where I was, they called those people and talked about me like a dog. And the same lady, and I had been spending 6 months saying every month, I just calling to see if things are the same. Am I still able to come there and stay in Atlanta till I get on my feet? Dundrick Sims, you said that lesbian is dangerous. But I've been hearing that for years, but she took up for her own self and said she wasn't. She said her hands are clean. She ain't been with a man since 1972. She was saying her hands was clean because she wasn't masturbating, but her heart was filthy. Her hands really dripping with a lot of blood. Because the young people back then that was there, you can't even get us to go back to visit that church. I was the only one still trying to go back to visit. And she killed that. She's not good with building relationships. She's bitter, prideful. Anyways, go back to that North Carolina. When I was in North Carolina, and she shared on with me. She said, "Well, Brother Babs, I know I hadn't always made the right decision, but you always used to have smoke coming out my ears because she couldn't control me. You try to preach on me, I'd get up, preach, Pastor, preach." And her preaching was trying to make you mad. Her preaching has always been geared to make you mad, and she felt like once she made you mad, she's done the will of God. Ooh. I get it. But just that kind of leader. And that's the backdrop to why I'm doing my story. And there's a whole lot more to talk about, but I won't talk about it. I'm going to show you a video of her preaching. Since y'all want to see, this is at a funeral. Now I want y'all to see this and listen to this. I'm setting this up. This is at a funeral, not a regular service. A funeral, as the people would say. This is at a funeral. Hear me. I'm about to show you a clip of her preaching at a funeral. Listen to this. I don't know why these pastors are afraid of her. Oh, I can't stand a weak man. You hear me? In my cousin's Ventrell voice. You hear me? Yep. Sharon said, I know that's right, Jimmy. It's so easy to put on a smile when you come out that door, but if you went behind that door, you don't know what went on in it. It's what went on. It's on. I learned that from experience. Let me tell you something. There were people, they hit me up and they said, I had no idea you never carried yourself like you were hurt. Because they taught us, you go through it. You would have never known I went through some of the stuff that I've been through. Whew, Lord. All right, y'all ready for this? Because this is her preaching at a funeral. It's a real demon. At a funeral. DeAndre Sims, you said it's a wonder you're not on medication right now. Let me tell you something. Sims, DeAndre, I hope I'm saying it right. Everybody there was traumatized. You ask anybody that came out of that, it was a traumatic experience. Thinking that we were, under the will of God or whatever, we're trying to do the right thing. But come to find out, it was really witchcraft control. It was an occult. It's an occult. It's still cultish. You know why it's cultish? Because it's about manipulation and control. Do you know to this day, here it is, 2021, to this day, if they find out you're friends with me, they cut you off. If they see me posted on your page, they cut you off. I got a friend, Mary, and because she remained my friend, they stopped talking to her, period. They want to control everybody's life. How is it that you want somebody to cut somebody off because you hate them? And if they don't cut them off, we're not going to be your friends. You see that foolishness? Witchcraft, control, manipulation, domination. It's all witchery. And the Bible says, suffer not a witch to live. And she always preached on witchcraft and against witchcraft and witches and warlocks, but had no idea we were sitting under one. I don't care about y'all getting mad. Something Elder Hart said to me when it was all said and done, and they didn't want her to know that they were agreeing with me. He said, Brother Battles, when that man walked in that pool, he said, don't say nothing about it. He said, don't say nothing. But when that man walked in that pulpit, God showed me that his life wasn't right. If your ministers can see that, what has blinded the leader? What has blinded the leader? All right, I'm going to play this little clip of her preaching at Deacon Campbell's funeral. And this is at a funeral, not at a regular service. Here we go. Go. Listen to this. This devil here. All right. Hold on. I want you to hear this part because this was horrific. She said, I know you don't like me. Uh-oh. It's just turning. Hold on. Hold on. Listen to this. I want you to hear this again. Because y'all know she was talking. It was a lot of Baptist people in there. She don't like Baptist people. And Reverend Flagg was there. You know she hate Reverend Flagg. She said, I know y'all don't like me, and I don't like you either. This is at a funeral. At a funeral, people. Listen. At a funeral. Yep. She loves attention. DeAndre, you are on it. Loves attention. This is at a funeral. People are hurting. First of all, she preached on prayer at a funeral. Then she turned around and talked about the people smoking and drinking and then taking communion. But then I know y'all don't like, I know y'all didn't hear that. I'm going to let y'all hear it again because this is the foolishness that has taken place for years and still taking place in churches, and people still, they scared of her, so they'll invite her, but they already know that what's going to happen. If y'all want y'all services to stop looking like a circus, stop inviting the clowns. And they thought that was cute at a funeral, because she's preaching on people that she do not like, and those are the Baptist people there. All I'm saying is, that's probably the biggest crowd she ever spoke in front of, so she had to do it out. That's just one funeral. We're not going to talk about the rest of them right now. But anyways, this is the same lady that's so full of witchcraft and control. But that was the same day that I confronted her. I went to her house. I said, what happened to you? Well, what do you mean? I just came off of a 40-day fast. I said, and you came off like that? I just happened to go to the funeral. Absolutely. And this is a funeral. And all she has ever done was throw off her anger and pain. All it is that no one has validated her. She always say, well, I know y'all don't believe in women preachers, women pastors. It's been going on since the 70s and the 80s, y'all. The 80s, I know. And this is all she does, is throw her anger off. She's toxic. Let me tell you something. You can be dressed up in your regalia, and with a cold heart, you're nothing but a dressed up reptile. You are nothing more than a dressed up reptile. You could be decadent, you could be decked down, but yet have a cold heart. You're a dressed up reptile. You're cold. But yeah, very toxic at funerals. I know y'all don't like me, and I don't like you either. Oh, God help us today. I just had to show you just a little bit of the clip, because it's just a mess. It's always been a mess, always been a throwing off. If she don't like what you're doing, she gonna create her whole message around you. And it's not even of God. It's about control, manipulation, and wanting to get you to do what I want you to do. I'm gonna show you how toxic she is. Her daughter, Cora Baker, now Apostle Cora Baker. She was Evangelist Cora Baker, now Apostle Cora Baker. She left her mother's church. You saw her sitting up there with the minister's collar. That lady left. That's her oldest daughter. Cora left her mother's church. Do you know her mother cut her off from her family? I can't tell you how many times Cora have called me crying and upset. Now, we don't talk now. Let me tell you what my mama said. My mama, she said, I'll never. She said, you just Cora Bell told her daughter, Cora, you just an evangelist. I'll never acknowledge you as a pastor. You're not a pastor with your crooked mouth. Because she does have a little hook in her crook. I mean, she got something happen when she was a child. What is that to say to your daughter? Because she left your church to grow. She told another friend of mine, she's on here tonight, when she left town and joined another church and was a bigger, well, yeah, our church wasn't big enough for you. It's always that kind of stuff. When I was there and was young, and I would go visit Pastor Lowe Church, because they would have somebody over there, whether it was Beverly Crawford over there preaching, or whether it was what's the lady, Betty Hudson was over there. And that lady I would just go. It was in a church night, and I went. And somebody from there, probably needed Jean Toller, called up and told her I was there. Yeah, I heard you was over at Pastor Lowe Church. Why you didn't tell me you was going? And I told her, I said, I wasn't going to tell you it was on a church night. I said, because I wasn't going to sit here and listen to you for you to try to make me feel bad about going to somebody else's church. Well, you're going to come back, aren't you? You know, they don't like us. It was always, they don't like us. She was in competition with Pastor Lowe. To this day, she's still trying to get the respect. Pastor Lowe was the real GOAT, the greatest of all time in that area. They had the biggest church, Pentecostal church there. She had more people in her choir than Cora had in her church. Just in competition with this lady. Pastor Lowe was the real deal. She really had a heart for people. She loved God. She was about souls. It wasn't about fame. It wasn't about money for her. That lady paid off 2 buildings. And this one over here couldn't even pay a light bill. Borrowed money from Mr. Huntley. Mr. Huntley died, borrowed money from Miss Huntley. And all of that. Then tried to get money from the daughter. Oh, I know I'm just telling it tonight. Always hated Pastor Lowe. That lady always, they never wanted us to go over there. Well, you know, they don't like us. And she, to this day, still said the same thing about other people. Well, you know, he don't like us. And then there people start acting funny. Y'all listen to one witch with no titties and balls, and y'all just... A Jezebel with no titties and but got balls. That's right, Randall. Toxic. She said, I know y'all don't like me, and I don't like you either. That was the real her. But preaching. Nobody calls for her to preach. Nobody calls for the choir to sing. Why y'all didn't invite our choir? I mean, just stuff like that. Carol left her mama church, and this is what she told her. Well, you know, yeah, I was going to give you the church, but now I'm going to give it to Kathy now. You see those little games? Trying to make her daughter stay? You see those games? Yeah, I was going to give you the church, but I'm going to give it to Kathy now. Silly. Whoopee. And she tells her people to disconnect from you. It has never been a problem with the members. I promise you. Anybody, I'm going to bring some people on that's been a part of the church. But people will tell you, we've never had problems with members of the church. It has always been that leader that has divided her own church. Cora messed up her own church. Messed up her own church. She's the poison in her church. She's the viper in her church. I've seen it over and over how leaders, they destroy their own church and put it on the devil. But I understand her bitterness. I mean, I think I do. Because in that call that she made to me while I was in North Carolina, something she said to me, she said, well, I'm going to tell you this because you don't live here. This is when she was trying to reconcile for hidden motives. Well, you know, there was a time that God told me to do something and I didn't do it. And I feel like I missed my chance. Yes, your time is over. You missed your chance. And I really like this lady. I looked at her as a mother figure. I always was at her house. I was always in church. But I realized that it's unfair. I thought, but you can't be a good pastor if you're not a good mother. Ask Carol. She hates Carol and everything that has come out of Carol. I remember growing up with some of Carol's children. They always said, my grandmother don't like my mama and don't like any of her children. I don't know what it is that went on between Cora and Carol, because that lady just don't like her daughter. And Carol is spending the rest of her life trying to get validated by her mother, that lady that you saw preaching. If she can't control you, she'll try to kill you. Yes. If she can't control you, she'll try to kill you. That's all I can say. I mean, I can say more. But you can't expect for somebody to be a good pastor and they can't be a good parent. Anytime you slap your grown daughter about dating a man up the street from you, rumor had it that she liked him herself. That's just rumor. But I was standing there when she slapped the fire out of Carol for not coming to church and went right down there to Brother Baker and was spending time with him. I was standing right there and I was appalled. So I guess her whole bitterness is she missed her time. I was doing property management in Atlanta and ran into this lady and saw she was from Palatka. And I started mentioning names and mentioned Cora by name. She said, I used to go to her church. She said, that lady's a pistol. All they want is control, manipulation, and gossip. That's all she does is gossip. Get on the phone and gossip. The same lady she was in competition with, Pastor Lowe. She was in competition with Pastor Lowe. Pastor Lowe, I'm telling you, was the real deal. Y'all know that if you're from that area. I was coming to Pastor Lowe Church consistently, ministering there. And that lady tried to poison Pastor Lowe about me. Just because she hated me. Because her prophecy of death didn't come forth. I'll be buying some black roses. If she cannot control you, she will try to destroy you. Toxic, cold heart, dressed up reptile. Said you got a clean hand, but your heart is dirty. But I get it. Her bitterness comes from, and I thought about it. She said, God told me to do something and I didn't obey him. And I felt like I missed my time. She said, I'm telling you this because you don't live here. She would never want anybody to know that. And it's unfair to try to make somebody be something to you that they don't have they don't have the capacity to be. Don't have the capacity to be. It's not in them. Some people don't have the capacity to be a good mother. Stop trying to have people to spiritual father and spiritual mother you when they don't have the capacity. I know y'all don't like me. And then later on, she danced because I love you. No, this is at a funeral. You're joking. People have died. So this man has died and his family's hurting. But I did go to her house and told her, I said, what happened to you? What you talking about? I just came off of a 40-day fast. I said, you came off like this? I said, you started out pretty good. I said, but you went way off. You started saying, I know y'all don't like me. And she said, well, I told him I love him. I said, do you know when you said, I know y'all don't like me and I don't like you either? Everything else you said went out the window. Because why would you carry on like that at a funeral? There are more funerals that she's carried on at. More churches that she's carried on at. I promise you that. And then I said to her, I said, you had the opportunity. You know, I'm grown at this point. I said, you had the opportunity to win souls at this funeral. Well, yeah, well, they all of them said they saved anyways. What type of attitude is that? And then we said, well, you know, Tremaine, the daughter, she said, well, you know, Tremaine said I did a good job. I said, you had the opportunity to win souls and you failed miserably. But of course, she went to church that Sunday and told the people, yeah, somebody from that used to go to this church told me I did a bad job. She always get up in her church and make statements that somebody said because she really wants you to turn against the people she hates. And I think the disappointing part to me was I didn't know she was so hateful. But I bet you they can't talk about Michelle. I bet you she can't talk about Sister Michelle because Sister Michelle know where the dead bodies are, know where all the dirt. Michelle left and they didn't talk about her. That was Carol's competition because Michelle act more like Michelle was trying to be, you know, be the pastor's daughter, and here the oldest daughter, Cora, and you won't even talk to her and won't even invite her to family functions. I remember that. I remember Cora telling me about it. You wouldn't even take her phone calls. You were mad because she left your church, your daughter, and you did this to your own daughter. Oh God! All right, people, use your voice. Talk about it. I swear to you, it works. Don't worry about the backlash. The toxic. When you tell the truth, they can't backlash you. You know, when people talk about, oh, they're going to backlash, you're going to get backlash. You know what? Our ancestors have, you know how many lashes they have on their backs? And you think I'm going to be concerned about your backlash when there was a crime that is punishable by law? You knew about it as a clergy person. You covered it up. I'm going to get back to George Bloomer. But this is another thing I want to tell you Christian folks. Some of y'all heard the clips from George Bloom and him cursing. You were more concerned about the man's profanity than about the content of what he did. Well, I can't believe he cussing like that. And no, he committed a crime, an assault. And you're concerned about his cussing? This is why people don't come to y'all's churches, and this is why people don't want to fool up with y'all. You're concerned about the wrong thing. Oh, God, help us all. Yes, this was at a funeral. She loves attention, and she dresses very well. Now, listen, let me tell you, you can't come for a dress. She dresses very well. But that's to get the attention because nobody has really validated her either. That's why she's gone through so many titles. She went from pastor to prophetess to doctor. Now it's pastor, prophetess, apostle. Anytime you tell your daughter you just an evangelist, let me tell you something. Evangelism and evangelist is just as important as everybody else. It's part of the fivefold. You see? And these pastors in that area are afraid of her. They're afraid of the backlash. I need y'all to get some balls. Not all of them, because Reverend Carl Flagg ain't scared of her at all. At all. He's not afraid of her. And she certainly don't like him. She don't like anybody she can't control. And your church has been there for 500 years almost, and that's exaggerating. But you've not affected your community. You can't even get your community to come to your church. What does that say about the building and the church that you're having? You're not effective. You might be infected. You infect others because her poison, she's viperous and poisonous, and she poisoned her own members. These people will hate you because she hates you, and they're scared to speak to you. What kind of foolishness is that? What are we running? This is a Jim Crow law? And Sims and no members, the ones there, they're dying and have died, and ain't nobody getting saved over there anyways. That's why they can't have live services. Ain't nobody getting saved over there. They don't want you to hear what they're saying. They want your money. They want your time. They want your talent. But she's giving nothing back to you. She's not even a good preacher. Anytime somebody go preach on prayer at a funeral and throw off on people that you don't like at a funeral, you're not even a good preacher. You're not a study of the word. Your doctorate degree is not even valid at this point. You got it from the Foursquare Church. I was there. I remember. It's not even accredited. Oh, yeah. And y'all are scared. I'm not going to put my mouth on the woman of God. And that's where y'all mess up. You don't get a pass because you're a leader. We still got to tell you about your stuff. Listen, what you said, Gloria? You said, brother, if that woman is hateful to her own daughter, you know she don't care about anyone else. She don't. Sorry you had to deal with someone like that in ministry. God bless you. But I'm here to stand flat-footed and tell it. I'm telling you, I am here to listen. Her own granddaughter, Nikki Fowler. I remember Nikki telling me, because Nikki came out to be she was openly gay, and she had a lover. And I remember Nikki telling me, she said, you know what? My grandmother saw me in the store and wouldn't even speak to me. Where is your God? I mean, please tell me. What? I don't want your God. If that's your God, you're not a good representation, because someone decided to live a life that you probably lived in your past, because I heard about that too. You probably lived in your past. Oh, Jesus. Please be a fence around me. I got all my stuff together. She wouldn't even speak to her own granddaughter because her granddaughter was a lesbian. Well, but she was speaking to her daughters. She got daughters that are lesbians. That girl was hurt. She said, my grandmother saw me in public and would not speak to me. Lady, your heart is wicked. Your heart, your conscience has been seared with a hot iron. I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of anybody that comes out of your camp. And you already know that. She knows it. I'm not the person that you. That's why she said I had smoke coming all out her ears because you couldn't control me. But what hurt me the most is you disregarded what I went through and what Micah went through, and y'all want to smooth it over and cover it up as if it didn't happen. And it happened. And this is why we're moving forward. Your church won't grow. Your church doesn't even affect your community. And when people leave your church, you get mad. You got riding by people's houses and sending. There was a lady she used to send by people's houses to see who was sitting up there and she come back and get a report. None of y'all are preachers. Everybody in there dressed up, collars around your necks. Do you know dogs wear collars? Do you know cats wear collars? You're not elite because you have on a collar. Dogs wear collars. And I hate it because people carry the disposition and try to act like everybody else is wrong. But you need people in your life that will check you. Say, you know what? Hey, that's not right. But everybody's scared. The men punking out, and I'm not saying that in no type of sexual connotation, but I'm saying it in reference to being weak. The only person that used to go there that would check her, he's dead, and that's Greg Whitehead. Greg Whitehead was the only man she ever respected in her church. She don't respect the rest of them. I was there when Greg would get on her about stuff. It seemed like something happened when Greg died. She changed. And then they really changed when they moved into Greek John's. They took on the spirit of that bar. The church that I have up is the church she started that I was in in the 80s, right? The church next door now, it was Greek John's. It was a bar. They moved into that and took on the spirit of that building. And you see it all over her facial expression. She doesn't look like a pleasant woman. She used to ask my cousin Betty about me. How's your cousin Brother Bells? Like that, like she smells something. Because you thought I was going to die. Now we all going to die. But you tried to strike fear into me to keep me from leaving. But yet you wouldn't correct what took place in that church. You wouldn't correct it. But then your son get caught up in stings and you protect him, Achan, in sex stings. Your own son. You're talking about, I'm trying to destroy your name. Reno has already destroyed your name. Yeah, he's trying to destroy my name. Ma'am, you don't have a name. You really don't have a name. And God is going to deal. I know he's already dealt with you, but your pride, it's her pride. Oh my God, pride is demoniacal and demonic. Your pride won't let you admit that you're wrong. Your pride won't let you say, I'm sorry. I messed up. I didn't know how to handle it during that time. Your pride won't let you say it was about me. And I'm a narcissist and I only make it about me. As today, she still makes it about her. Because when I came out about my story, the first thing he's trying to destroy my name. You have to first have a name, lady, to be destroyed, to have a name destroyed. See, I'm telling you the inside stuff. And I know y'all look at the outside. Oh, she just seemed nice, but she's a serpent. She's a serpentine. She's a snake. She's a viperess. And to be a leader, she has turned bitter. Now, years ago, she was bitter way before. And I heard her say she never wanted to be bitter again. She didn't like what it did to her. Now that lady is back bitter. Your ministry hasn't grown. Your life hasn't grown. And all you do is poison people against other people. You divide your own church. You viperous. You bite people with your mouth, serpentile. You're against every pastor there that you can't control. Well, yeah, Brother Colbert is a good preacher, but he don't like women pastors. Lady, why would you tell people that? Ooh, still on that. Who are you trying to convince? Every time you get up and you say, well, I know y'all don't like women preachers. Who are you trying to convince? It's because you don't have validation and you're still trying to get validation. You grab for things and clothes and titles to feel validated. Maybe your mother didn't validate you. And we all need validation at some point. But the thing that we're scraping and scrapping for now is the thing that you didn't get when you were a child. I'm not afraid to say I don't fool with y'all. I really don't. I know how church people are. And that's how I know how to counteract it. And y'all are scared and you won't say nothing. Well, let's not say nothing. That's the problem. Your mouth is closed and you need to speak against it. And you still invite people like, well, she don't really get invitations. She begs for them. Well, I don't like, they don't want to hear from me. I guess I'm too old. I did that. I went over there to Chestnut Church one year. Yeah, they don't invite. I guess they don't like me because they don't want to hear from an old person. You're still looking for validation. It's not that they don't want to hear from an old person. They just want to hear. They don't want to hear from a person with no wisdom. And all you're going to do is throw off and talk about you. You make it about you. People don't come to you for counseling. It is a huge brainwashing. People don't want somebody didn't come to her for counseling. Well, if my life ain't good enough and my life experience ain't good enough, then you did the right thing by going somewhere else. See, to make them feel bad. If my life experiences ain't good enough and you don't think my life, listen, all that, no, lady, you have sat there and covered up a whole sex crime. You let one daughter cuss you out and then one leave your church and then you don't have nothing to do with her. Oh. And I just wonder why some of the daughters would never come to that church because you saw too much at home. You know how she really is and she can't preach to you. I don't care how dressed up you are. If your heart is cold, you are a dressed up reptile. I'm going to say it again. I don't care how dressed up you are. If your heart is cold, you are a dressed up reptile. Now, we're not talking about physical structures because that's a whole nother message on its own. It's talking about the who you are as from your core. It's hard. It's hard to be something that you're not. You can't be loving if it's not in you. And I get it. Almost 100 years old and you still don't have it and still babying. Why would you tell your daughter that? Well, since you done left the church, I was going to give you the church, but I'm going to give it to Kathy now. Yeah, yes, it's a huge brainwashing. All these titles and callers and fake degrees and all of that. Your heart is cold. You are simply a dressed up reptile. You are a cold-blooded animal. And you come across in cheap clothing, but you are a wolf underneath those clothing because you would devour and bite each other. And I am here to tell it. I'm here for it. I promise you, I am here for it. I'm waiting for their arrival because I got some more stuff to talk about. I am here for it. I love God more than I've ever loved him. But the church, y'all are some sneaky, and people don't love God. They don't love God like they used to. They don't come to church. No, they love God more. That's why they don't come, because they're not going to sit up there and listen to your foolishness. And you're ranting and raveling and ranting off and throwing off. You get up and throw off all your steam and your anger and your anguish in funerals and services. Church is supposed to be for a place of healing, growth, inspiration, all of that. But you come there and poison the people. Oh, Lord, help me. All right. Well, I guess I'm finished. It is 7:21 and I'm in New York. Yeah, I don't fool with them, Randall. And people will say, well, why don't you? I'm not sitting up in your dead churches. You don't have anything to say to me. And just because you're on the wrong side of the truth, I certainly don't want to have nothing to do with anything you're doing. Hold 1 second. I got to get my charger. Thought I had my charger. You sitting up there on the wrong side of truth and you won't say nothing. but you get up and talk about everything else, but you can't speak out against unrighteousness. Oh, I get it. I get it. You can speak out against gays and lesbians and alcoholics and all of that, but you can't speak out against when leadership becomes abusive.